What's up, everyone? Welcome to the No Cap Space. Tyler here with Andrew and Greer, and we got some immediate reactions to give you. The selection committee has just dropped the final top 16 prior to Selection Sunday, and there's some new teams in there. That's one specifically I'm excited about, but we got some new teams in there. We got some teams moving up and down, so let's just dive right in. Let's look first at the overall top 16 seeds. Andrew, we'll start with you. What kind of sticks out to you here?
Gonzaga at 15, probably my first one. I mean, they've done everything, right? They're 24-2. They've got a couple major teams, Washington State and a couple others that are either quality losses or quality wins. So I get them being there. It's just surprising seeing them in the top 16. UCLA at 4 is a bit of a shocker because Stanford, obviously, you knew that top Pac-12 team was going to be in there. But to see Stanford, UCLA, USC, Oregon State, Colorado. That's 5 of the 6 kind of tournament eligible teams that we've seen in the bracketology. That's 5 in the top 16. Yeah. So clearly a lot of respect for the Pac-12. What that makes me wonder is Washington State, Washington, Arizona, the 3 bubble teams, the robust middle that we talked about in 5-out.
Yep.
Do they have a better chance of sneaking into the bubble because of the committee's clear respect for the Pac-12 this year? Or should we maybe be looking at them a little bit higher than a Maryland or a Michigan or one of these kind of 16-12 Arkansas type teams that are kind of hovering around the bubble?
Yeah, surely you would think so. Like that would correlate if they already got, and obviously not both of them, the chance of them both ending up as 1 seeds once it's actually Selection Sunday time is not very likely. But to have them both in there right now, and obviously you have Oregon State also in there. So like obviously some level of respect is being shown from the Pac-12. For Greer, what about you? What's kind of sticking out for you?
I think Ohio State as the second 2 seed Ohio State as the 2 seed stands out to me, right? This is a team that lost their very first game on the season to the Juju Watkins led USC Trojans. But they, rebounded, secured an outright Big Ten championship during the regular season, and they're going into their tournament as a overall number 1 seed in the conference tournament. So I thought that was interesting. I'm also going to say like some of the teams that have kind of skidded here, right? Like a Colorado, right? Who was top 5
4 losses in a row for them.
Yeah,
ranked,
and they were a top 5 team for a large part of this season, and so they're kind of clinging on, for dear life in the top 16 right now. And then I'd say Indiana too, right? They're still led by an awesome college player in Mackenzie Holmes. They had that great win over Iowa in what's the building called, Andrew?
Carver Hawkeye, right?
No.
Oh, in Bloomington, right. Yeah,
Assembly Hall. Sorry.
Yeah. With the wooden benches everywhere.
Yeah, the packed out crowd, right? Saying Indiana get in there after just kind of, I feel like they've really flown under the radar this entire season. Yeah. So
before you hit your ISO, Tyler, Indiana, to Greer's point, this is a team that's 23-4. That returns basically everybody that's not Graceberger. There's 2 blowout losses on the schedule for them, and one of them was like the 3rd game of the season against Stanford where they got run off the floor. And I feel like since that game, we've just kind of been like, Indiana. They're just
They're
like the most overlooked 23-4 team that we have. And I don't know if that's because they bowed out of the tournament last year early to Miami, and there's all sorts of, residual kind of doubt that occurs anytime we see a team do that. We did this with Iowa, the same thing last year. But it is so shocking that Indiana's at 14. They are a very clear number 3 in the Big Ten, and we haven't said a lick about them nationally this entire season. When, in terms of roster construction, they're probably the one team that I would look at on this list and say, if there's a 3 or a 4 seed that can mess somebody's day up in a Sweet 16 or Elite 8, out of the 12 to 16 in there, Oregon State's obviously like the ball knowers pick, but like Indiana might be the ball knowers pick there.
No, they've been incredibly, and like Mackenzie Holmes she's doing Mackenzie Holmes things again. Like she's hooping.
She is
like
Indiana.
100%. And
I mean, the stare down right on the Caitlin block that she had during the game, like just nasty, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I ain't never seen you act like that before. What's going on? What's going on here, Mackenzie?
Yourself, bro.
Hold on, because I like, but I mean, you guys are absolutely right. Where it's like, Indiana's just kind of been coasting, like since like not coasting in the sense like in a bad way, but like they just kind of keep cruising. There we go. That's the better word for it, because they just kind of keep winning. And no one really has kind of done anything about it. And even with the big win on Iowa, you would think that kind of be like, oh, that's the spike of attention or whatever. And even then, still not like that's kind of crazy spike you would think from beating a team with the popularity in the eyes of Iowa. Another team that's been more than cruising.
Hold on, let me turn my mute on so you can have the floor.
Oh my goodness!
Put on my phone for a little while.
Oh my goodness! You know what?
California.
Run the highlights, because Oklahoma is a top 16 seed. This team was 6-5 in non-conference. Right before they started Big 12 conference play, they lose to 1-9 Southern at home on a random Friday afternoon. Yet here they are. It doesn't make sense. There's nothing in my basketball brain that can exactly quantify how they continue to get away with it. And they do. The fight that this team has gained, we talked about it in my interview with Peyton Verhulst. That's been the biggest change with is the fight. It's a connectedness. It's not a stat that you're necessarily seeing. The biggest thing statistically has been the turnovers. They go from 20 turnovers in non-conference to 13 in Big 12 conference play. They struggled with that some against Texas, but that's when the fight came in. And that was the other biggest change. You can't really quantify. You just kind of have to see that. And even in this game, like the highlights you're seeing right now, these are Texas highlights. Because they were getting cooked at the beginning of this game, yet they kept coming back. The end of the second quarter, the end of the third quarter, they just kept going. It doesn't make sense, yet here they are as a 16 seed ready to host in Norman, Oklahoma. Jenny Baranczyk, the work that she has done. Andrew, I saw your tweet and I'm ready for it. The coach of the year conversation at some point has to make a stop in Norman, Oklahoma, because the way that she has been able to bounce back with this roster after losing 3 incredible seniors, after losing Liz Scott to begin the season, the work she's done, the work this team has done over the course of this season, I've watched every game. I still can't exactly comprehend the turnaround that this team has had. And it's just been incredible.
Yeah, as a group, we've talked a lot about like the Pac-12 and the conference realignment that they're about to experience, right? But like, remember, Oklahoma is going to the SEC next year, right? And so to come in their last year in the Big 12 and completely turn their season around to be an outright champion and the number 1 seed heading into Kansas City, like incredible stuff by the Sooners.
One might say it's a tale of two teams. No cap space top Substack.
Wow, you can find that in the description below if you want to check out the interview with Peyton. It's here on the YouTube channel. The article is also on the Substack. But man, this team, it's been a joy to watch. Being able to cover this team throughout this season, and like I said, it's hard to compute it, but both these teams are going to be in the SEC next year, so that's going to be absolutely insane. But let's dive back in now. Let's look at some of the actual regions itself in this bracket reveal, because there's some heavy matchups in this one. I know for me,
South Carolina and Iowa at one.
Oh man,
I mean that's
circled. Circled. I literally put a tweet out and I was like, "Oh look, bro. Iowa and South Carolina, they're on the same side." I'm sure
there's going to be plenty of reasonable discord in that Sweet 16 game. Not going to be a toxic place online at all.
No, Twitter will be completely sane for that.
But then also, like, remember that, like, look at the number 3 line in that region, right? And it's Oregon State. Oregon State is a team who could probably play anybody in the country. Like, they have the players to play almost any kind of style, right? Like, they have actual bigs. They have guards who get it done. If I was one of the other 3 teams in that region, like, I'm not super happy about them being included in my region.
There's a lot of interesting here. First of all, Stanford, Texas again.
Yep.
We have seen this matchup a couple times in past tournaments, but once again, Stanford, Texas back in the same area of the bracket. It's literally a whole rematch bracket.
Yeah, Ohio State, USC,
LSU, Colorado.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, the committee is giving us mess, right? Like they know
100%.
They know what the people want to see, right? We want to see like rivalries are, that's what college basketball is all about. And I wouldn't necessarily say that South Carolina and Iowa have a rivalry or Stanford and Texas necessarily, but
not on the court.
They played each other recently enough, right? They have a familiar enough recent history that it makes these
people
matchups
remember.
If you want to put the full conspiracy hat on here,
let's do it.
Let's put full conspiracy.
You're down in the bunker, Andrew.
I am. I'm in the panic room. If you put the conspiracy hat on, you essentially have a guaranteed South Carolina, Iowa here. You have a potential Caitlin Clark, Paige Becker's Final Four semifinal. You have a potential LSU Angel Reese Iowa rematch or a Dawn Staley Kim Mulkey game in the championship. Or if you are the messiest of the messy, the conspiracy theorist of the conspiracy theorists, you have Iowa on one side of the bracket with Caitlin Clark, and you have Juju Watkins.
Not the script.
On the other.
The script writer not to work.
The script, frankly, if I was to try and make it, would be to put those two teams on the opposite side of the bracket. Because if I am a committee TV executive trying to maximize the interest in women's college basketball long term, the best case scenario here for the game and its growth and the discussion and the dialogue around it is a passing of the torch in an NCAA championship between Caitlin Clark and Juju Watkins. Either Caitlin wins, gets her natty, goes off into the sunset, or Juju announces herself to the world.
Man.
So that I'm very curious if we get Iowa and USC on opposite sides of the bracket when selection day comes, because that's something I would personally be very interested in. Now, would Southern California, USC, the real USC, get past Iowa State or Ohio State? Probably not.
Hey, they beat them. Beat the brakes off of them.
Ohio State's way better than that, though.
But one would assume that USC,
but USC is also better. No, 100%.
And Juju is also way better than she was during her very first.
Juju in March is going to be
that's going to be. I'm already looking.
I love that it's just the rematch of those games that we saw.
Oh yeah, run it back. Let's
the first week
run it back.
College season, right? LSU, Colorado. That was a major upset when LSU was the number one team in the country at the time.
We're talking
Ohio
first day of the
State,
season with these games. Like literally, we batted lead off with these games, and now you want to run it back? Sign me up. I'm honestly, I want to see Juju versus LSU. I think that would be. You want to talk about some star players on the court.
Also, you will be talking about the number 1 and number 2 recruits coming out of last year's high school class, and Juju Watkins and Taylor Williams. So I'm for it. I'm here for it.
Gonzaga, provided Gonzaga gets to the Sweet 16, because they've tripped a couple times here. I would, again, look right into the camera. The ball knower's pick. Yvonne Edgem with Gonzaga is someone who, if you put her up against UConn, you bring the UConn eyeballs and the national eyeballs. That's a player that I think does deserve a lot of shine this year, who could be in a Naismith Player of the Year discussion. Had she not been playing, had she been playing anywhere else other
than Anissa vibes from the year prior, like the kind of 100%, some similar.
But unlike Anissa DePaul, Gonzaga's here,
right?
So yeah. But I honestly love a lot of these matchups. I think just the top 16 in general is very compelling. If Oregon State gets Reagan Beers back, I would expect some difference on the seed lines. And I do think this weekend we're going to see some motion on the seed lines too. Virginia Tech's got a couple of really tough games. They take on Notre Dame on Thursday. The Southern California schools have Arizona, who's scrappily trying to get a win. Ditto Colorado. Then Utah. Yep, they get Washington and Washington State, Ohio State and Iowa. This is not set.
No, this is not final by any means. We got a long way to go. Like this weekend alone, that's not even getting into conference tournaments or anything like this might not even make it through the day, frankly, like for all we know. So I'm excited. I mean, if this was the top 16, sign me up. Like if this was it, like some of the matchups that we see here, sign me immediately up. Do you guys feel like there was any snubs from this list or anything? I I don't see this and be like, I don't feel any type of way about anybody's ranking, honestly. Like
Notre Dame maybe, but Notre Dame's losses have been big, huge blowout losses. So I can't justify them over Oklahoma.
Yeah, no, I'm there with you. Nothing really sticks out here, even in like the ordering of everything. I'm pretty content with the way that this went. So
I'm glad this was the only big news that happened today.
Yeah, no, nothing else happened today. Surely nothing else that's going to be dropping here very soon as well, same time as this. Well, we thank y'all for tapping in here with the No Cap Space. We're everywhere, frankly, at this point. The Substack in the bio. Playback, come watch games with us in the bio. Make sure you're liking, subscribing. Check out the Twitter, because speaking of conference tournaments, boots are going to be on the ground, y'all. Pac-12 tournament, Big 12 tournament. We got boots on the ground for it. Make sure you stay tapped in with everything No Cap Space.